Okay, welcome to update number 1 of the M7 Priest early production by Dragon. I've completed steps 1 through 4 on the first page, and then I have completed steps 5, 6, and 7 on the second page. So just some quick thoughts. So far everything's gone together as it should. The bogey assemblies went together nicely. The seams on the wheels sanded off real easily, no big deal. Everything looks good, and they turned out really nice. Now, as you can see, they articulate the suspension rocks. What I will do is when I mount these to the hull, I'll set it flat to make sure everything's level, and then I'm going to cement these in place because I don't want them to rock, because if the tracks have a bit of tension on the ends, I don't want them pulling the suspension up, you know, either in the very rear or the very front, because it looks kind of goofy. So anyway, those are done, which was the first step of, or first part of step 1. The drive sprockets, nothing big there. They went together like they should. Now the one thing I want to comment about Dragon and other kits, including Academy, in comparison to Tamiya. One thing I really like about Tamiya kits is that they have poly sleeves that slide into position on the axle and give you a firm connection, yet the wheels still spin. And I personally like that just because it makes it easier sometimes when installing tracks, especially like say DS tracks or the styrene tracks that the flexible styrene that Tamiya uses. It's easier just to kind of roll them on there. It's not really a big deal, but it's just something that I like, and I wish other manufacturers would do it. But anyway, the drive sprockets. As you can see, I have the front end complete, the transmission cover, all of the transmission parts here, fill spout here, some controls, looks like, but it's all complete, and the detail's really nice. There's no ejector pin marks visible anywhere. The only thing I didn't do was put these ribbed portions here, the parts that pull all 3 of the cast portions of the housing together. I didn't do those. I don't want to do those until I actually get this mounted to the hull, so I can make sure everything fits properly. That was fine. Let's see, the rear plate, no surprises there, fit together nicely. Again, the details are very nice. The firewall here had the first piece of photo etch right there, grill of some kind. Again, no surprises, everything works, and looks good. So on to the second page of steps 5 through 7. Now this is the main gun, and this was a little more, I don't want to say it was difficult, but a little more, as some use the term, fiddly. And just some notes on here. All of this fit together, no problems. All of this, these parts right here are very small and very, the connection points aren't really, on some of the parts, the connection points are not clearly defined. And a good example of that is right here, the front shield. This plate here, this bottom portion that fits on this front part of the shield, like the gun barrel would be sticking out that way in relation to this. There's a rib inside of here, but it doesn't say whether to put this above or below the rib. So you kind of have to mess with it, check it, double check it, triple check it, and make sure that it all fits. Another kind of weird deal, let me see if I can zoom in on it, was this part right here. here and here. There's a support rod that mounts to the side of the gun itself, and then this part here cements into the top of the shield. This part of the shield mounts on the bottom. You really have to look and pay attention. There are a number of different spots right here, and you need to make sure you put it in the correct location. The correct location in relation to all these bolts and everything. It wasn't very hard, and if you just get it pretty close, make sure there's a little flat part on here. Just make sure that is flat on there. If this doesn't exactly line up with this, when this is attached here, you should attach this part first and then attach this. It's no big deal if you use some, extra thin or other thin, fast-acting cement. You can push it into place, this part and this part, and it'll fit perfectly, and everything's fine. Again, on some of this stuff, just lining parts up can be kind of tricky. So, again, I'm going to be comparing, most of my comparison is going to be with Tamiya and maybe Academy, but not quite as much Academy because, I haven't built as many of those. But these, and some may disagree, but I think a person should have a few simpler kits or easier to assemble kits such as Tamiya. They should probably have a few more of those under their belt before they tackle a kit like this. This right here, like I said, it wasn't real difficult, but it did help to know a bit about the subject matter, and also have put together quite a few kits and know what to look for. But it's nothing anybody can't get past. But anyway, the whole gun has been completed. As you can see, it has the metal barrel here, and I used Loctite brand Ultra Gel super glue, and the reason being is any of the hobby specific brands I've used dry out, spouts dry out. They're worthless. Like I'll say it every time I talk about super glue. The hobby specific brands are annoying, but this stuff works great. Every time I open the bottle, it's never clogged. You can buy that at any hardware store. But anyway, that's what I used to glue the metal barrel part. So as you can see here, let's see if I can, the detail is really, really, really nice on this. A lot of small parts, but again, it's nothing too difficult. It's just a matter of fitting, test fitting, double checking, making sure things are lined up, and it'll turn out nice. I mean, the detail on this is really good. So with that said, so far my first experience with Dragon is favorable. I would definitely build another Dragon kit this far as of right now with this build. So that's pretty much it. So I'm going to be moving on to the next part of the build, which will be steps 8, 9, and 10, which looks like start working on the interior and the hull. And I'm building all this in sections, and I'm going to leave the sections pretty much as you see them right now and prime them first before I assemble them. And I'm going to be using, for my primer, so I don't have to prime and paint, I'm going to be using the Vallejo olive drab primer. It works really well, and the color is spot on, and it'll save me a step. I'll prime and paint all in one step, and I'll be good to go to start working on the other stuff, detail painting and so on. But so next up will be steps 8, 9, and 10. And so that concludes this episode of Plastic Models by a Regular Dude, the M7 Priest early production by Dragon. So stay tuned. As always, leave comments, questions, criticisms in the box below, and I will see you guys next time on the next update.